Welcome back to Stop My Crisis. I'm your host, Vivian Gaspar, and I'm here today to talk about a problem that affects nearly everyone I've ever encountered in my professional life: student loan debt. Unfortunately, $1 trillion of student loan debt are active right now, and of which $77.4 billion of student loan debt are in default right now. Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program comes online October 2017, and that program will help teachers, firefighters, police officers, and people who work for nonprofits get their student loans forgiven. It's unbelievable. In New Jersey alone, there are over 114,584 full-time teachers, over 50,000 law enforcement officers, and 300,000 governmental employees, again, in New Jersey alone. So here with me today, I have an expert on this very topic, Nancy Cavey. Nancy, thank you so much for explaining this amazing forgiveness program. I still can't believe it's actually coming online.
Well, I think that your audience is going to be enthused about what we're going to be talking about today.
I'm enthused. I still can't believe it. I've seen so many people suffering when now they no longer will have to. Please explain it, because I'm very excited. How does someone know if this is a program they could take advantage of?
Well, let's talk about the things you have to prove to be eligible for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. The first thing, Vivian, is that you have to work for the right kind of employer. Well, what's that? It's a public service type employment, which means if you work for the local government here in Princeton, if you work for the county, the state, for federal government, that kind of employment qualifies. If you work for a nonprofit, that employment qualifies. So you could be the dog catcher, the accountant, the mayor of Princeton, and you would be eligible for public service loan forgiveness. The second element that I think your audience is going to be interested in is making sure that they understand that they have to be in the right kind of loan program. By that I mean, when you pay back your student loans, you're in a time-based repayment plan or you're in a income-based repayment plan. You have to be in the right income-based repayment plan to be eligible for public service loan forgiveness.
I need to ask a question when you mention nonprofits.
Okay.
What are the regulations around there? I mean, there's so many people who have not-for-profits that are very, very small, and then you have them so large, such as the American Red Cross. What size? Does it make a difference, or as long as they're a registered 501(c)(3)?
They have to be a registered 501(c)(3). But what's important here is that it's actually the type of work that they're doing. So if they're a religious institution and they're trying to convert someone, or if they're a political institution, that isn't going to count.
Ah, those are the two caveats.
Yes, right.
So how does this work? You say it's coming online in a sheer 10 months from now.
Correct.
Is that the beginning or end of October? Somebody who's so anxious for this to start, they might want to know that 30-day difference.
October 1st. But one of the other
9 months from now.
One of the other
or less.
important elements, though, Vivian, is that the person has to be current. They can't be in default. And they have to make their payments on time, and you have to make 10 years worth of current on-time payments. Now, you haven't asked me a question that you should ask me.
I need to know.
Okay, I'll tell you.
I want to know, what is it? I haven't asked you yet.
Yes.
I love when my guests are mind readers.
All right. A lot of your members of the audience are teachers.
Yes, a lot of our New Jersey residents are teachers.
Right.
We have a fantastic school system here.
So I get questions all the time. What happens if I'm only working a 10-month contract? Well, that's okay. What happens if I stop working to raise a family and I go back as a school teacher? Do I lose the years that I've paid in? And the answer is no. It's not 10 years consecutive. It's 10 years cumulative. So what I suggest folks do is you can go to www.edu.gov, Department of Education site, and download a form, and you start filling it out now, because you want to send it in and have the government say that your employment qualifies for this program, so that you know how many years you've got in this program and how many years you've got left.
They could check that now.
Yes.
Even when we're many months out ahead of it, they can see if they qualify now.
Yes, and that's what I tell all of my clients to do, because the form to actually apply for forgiveness hasn't been created yet.
Is there a cap of how much money they're willing to forgive per person?
No.
There's no cap. You can have $100,000 and still be eligible to have all the amount forgiven?
So let's say you have $300,000 in loans, you've been making payments for 10 years, and you have $200,000 left. Guess what? Guess what gets forgiven?
The balance?
The $200,000. And you want to know what's even better?
What?
There's no tax liability for that forgiven money.
That's what I was going to ask you next. So many times when you have debt and it's forgiven or written off, you might receive the 1099 and have a tax liability. So that's fantastic that you bring that up.
No tax liability.
So is this something you might need an attorney for, or you can just go through the government? Because I know you have this fantastic new book out. Can you mention it to us, please? This might help people.
Certainly. I have written a book, Student Loans, What They Didn't Tell You. And do you need a lawyer? No, you don't need a lawyer to do this. But I think it's wise to have someone to consult with, because you have to have the right kind of loan. And there are all sorts of federal student loans that only go into certain income-based repayment plans. You see those ads for consolidation?
Yes.
Those can mess up your ability to get into the public service loan forgiveness, because you may be consolidating into the wrong kind of loan. So I think people should consult with someone who has an expertise in student loans, not just some radio ad or TV ad.
Well, here is probably one of the best reasons. If someone has $50,000, $100,000 or more of outstanding debt, I would think it makes sense to spend a little bit of money to make sure the rest of that amount of money is forgiven. And we're talking very large numbers for a lot of the people I know.
Absolutely.
Have encountered or who are our viewers. This is amazing public service that you're doing. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
And I appreciate you taking the time to come to our studios and talk about this, because I don't think that many people were aware of this. I have just one more question. Is there a way to know, for example, how long this will be available for? You said it starts October 2017, but is there a finite amount of time that someone has to get in on it, so to speak?
Well, based on the change in our administration, I can't answer that question. I don't know, and my fellow colleagues don't know what the Trump administration or the Department of Education is going to do with the public service loan forgiveness. So I think we'll have to just wait to see what the future holds.
Well, hopefully, if people take advantage of it quickly, they don't wait, and sometimes waiting is the devil. If you wait, you lose.
Correct. So if you've been working for a qualified employer for 10 years, making those payments on time, you should check to make sure your employment qualifies, and on October 1st, that application should be going in with the wind.
One last question, then we have to wrap up. What if you've had multiple employers who still might be qualified in that 10-year period?
That's what the point of this form is to have the government look at your employment history and say, this one counts, that one doesn't count. So you know how many payments you've made and how many payments you have to make with the right employer.
That's really helpful. And what lesson learned is, get the help of a professional. Little investment might yield some amazing amounts of money forgiven and a lot less debt. And guess what? Money you don't have to pay will then help you get faster on your way to a better retirement, or just a lot more cash flow in your month. So you have more money left over at the end of your month. And that helps to alleviate any crisis.